welcome to AD Lab. So in the previous video we have gone through the simulation part of your first experiment, that is on a stable multivibrator circuit by using the NE555 timer IC, and within that we have seen the three cases for a duty cycle of equal to 50%, less than 50% and greater than 50%. In this today's session we will see hardware part of it, and we will understand the logic of the breadboard. We will see the usage of cathode ray oscilloscope, and we will see that how we can rig up the circuit on the breadboard and how we can able to apply the potential to it so that we can see the waveform on our CRO. Fine. So as you can go through this CLM. In the previous video only we have seen the formulas, calculations and the design part, so that we can able to identify the resistance values for the R1, R2 and capacitance values for the capacitors, those were C1 and C2. Okay, and we have seen the pin diagram of 555 IC, that is pin number 1 is ground, 2 is trigger, 3 is output, 4 is reset, 5 is control voltage, 6 is threshold, 7 is discharge and 8 is power supply, or you can say plus VCC. And beside to this you can able to see the circuit diagram, okay, for this A-stable multivibrator by using the 555 IC. Right. So by using this circuit diagram we are going to rig up the circuit on our breadboard. Okay, but before going for this rigging of the circuit on the breadboard, let us understand the logic behind of this breadboard. So breadboard is a kind of a device, or you can say component, on which we will place our basic components like resistors, capacitors, LEDs and goes on. Right. So here you can see that this is our breadboard. Okay. So in this slide also you can able to see the internal connection of this breadboard. Right. So the breadboard is consist of many holes. Right. But whenever we are rigging up any circuit on it, we should have the internal structure of this breadboard. You can see that here. You can see here the vertical ones, the horizontal ones, in which the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, okay, they all are connected. They all are connected, means all this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they are connected. Okay, and similarly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are connected. Similarly this will be connected, this will be connected and this will be connected. So the 5 groups of these 5 holes, okay, they are internally they are connected. Fine. So similarly again the remaining 5 groups will be, they are interconnected. That is what you can able to see. And here between this first 5 group and the last 5 group, there will be no any kind of connections. That is what you can see on your video, on your PDF. No connection between these 2 bus strips. Okay, and that is the thing we should remember, means first 5, okay, and last 5, they are connected, but there will be no connection between these 2 5 groups. Okay, similarly we can go for the below one. Okay, here also the same thing will be there, but here the above hole is not having any connection with the below hole. Okay, so these things we have to remember, means whenever you keep the breadboard like this, we can see a kind of horizontal based connections. Fine. So the same thing we can see in the bottom part also. In the bottom part also we will have a same kind of logic. Again the vertical thing, vertical based connections will be seen. Now when you come to the middle part, okay, the middle part of this one, okay, this middle part, here again you can see that many holes are present, but the logic is somewhat different. Now here these 5 holes are connected vertically. Okay, similarly all these holes are connected in a vertical fashion, that you can be able to see on your slide. Right, all are connected vertically and there will be no any kind of horizontal connections. Right, so that is, this hole is not at all connected with this hole. Similarly this hole is not connected with this hole. So a kind of vertical based connections will be maintained in this kind of holes. Right, so that is what you can able to see in your PDF, right? So I hope you got this one. Okay, otherwise we will upload in the future. Okay, so this diagram only will gives you a brief idea about the internal connection of this breadboard. Fine. So once you understood the usage of breadboard, once you understood the logic of the breadboard, then you can easily rig up the circuit. Now, as you gone through that in your physics laboratory, whenever you use a resistor, okay, so you can see a kind of a color band concept or a color band things that you can able to see on your resistors. This is what we call as a color band theory, right? So, or you can say color code theory, in which there will be totally band 1, band 2, band 3 and band 4 will be there. So within that, band 1 represents the first color, that band 2 will be the second color, and the third will be the multiplier. Okay, multiplier, and the next one is fourth one, that is a tolerance. Okay, so here you can see that normally for the band 1, band 2 and band 3 we will have different colors. Okay, I hope you heard about B.B. Roy, Great Britain, very good wife. Okay, so that concept we will use to memorize this color code. So black is for 0, brown is for 1, red is for 2, orange is 3, yellow 4, green 5, blue 6, violet 7, grey 8, white is 9, and some tolerance based bands, that is gold, will be having 0.1% plus or minus. Okay, so if you are using 1, 2 and 3 color bands, that you can see that, for example, here yellow is there, means the value is 4, violet is 7, red is 2. Okay, so based upon this color code values, we will can compute, and we can come to know that the total resistance of this resistor is 4700 ohms. Okay, means 4.7 kilo ohms. Fine, and the remaining things, that is a tolerance which comes to the band 4, in which brown, that is of 1 or plus or minus 1%, red is plus or minus 2%, gold is plus or minus 5%. But in our laboratory, we don't bother about the tolerance, we only focus on the band 1, band 2 and band 3. Fine. So, okay, the electrolyte capacitor, but in this in our laboratory we are not using the electrolyte capacitor, we are using the ceramic capacitors. Okay, so ceramic electrolyte capacitors means in which you can able to identify that the positive and the negative terminal of the capacitor. Fine. So just such kind of that the plus symbol indicates that the positive means here you can see that terminal will be, its leg will be somewhat bigger as compared to the shorter one, right? But in the ceramic capacitor we can't differentiate in that way. We will have only the capacitor, okay, and capacitance value, okay, and you can see that on the on its printed body we can able to see the maximum voltage what it can handle, okay, and it does not have any kind of plus or minus, that is what the ceramic capacitor. You can see this is electrolyte and this is a ceramic capacitor, right? And you can see 104K means it is of 0.1 microfarad. Okay, we don't bother about these things because in our capacitor only that is mentioned. Okay, it is for your understanding purpose we have given in this PDF. Now we will go through the diagram of this A-stable multivibrator by using 555 timer. Okay, so before going for this one, okay, so this is our breadboard, and I am going to keep this breadboard in this way, okay, and we have just seen that here all these holes are vertically connected, okay, when I keep the breadboard in this horizontal way, but when I keep it in the vertical way, now all these holes are connected in a horizontal way, right? Now here I am going to use 555 IC. Okay, this is the NE555 IC, which consists of 8 pin, right? So what I am going to do, according to the breadboard logic, I am going to mount this 555 IC on this breadboard, right? So now these are connected, these are connected, these are connected, and these are connected. Means here pin number 1, see, you can see a kind of a semicircle, that you can observe in this PDF also. Okay, so in this you can see the semicircle, right? So it indicates that from here, from the left side we will begin. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, and after that 5, 6, 7, 8. So same fashion here also. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fine. So 1 is ground here, 2 is trigger, 3 is output, 4th one is reset, 5th one is control voltage, 6th one is threshold, 7 is discharge, and 8 is plus VCC, or you can say power supply. Fine. Now, as I go through this particular figure, you can see that here pin number 8 and pin number 4 both are shorted. Okay, both are connected. And next one, and there we will apply the plus VCC. Okay, for plus VCC we are going to use this variable power supply. Okay, we will going to use this variable power supply. Why we are calling it as a variable power supply? Because of this regulator, I can able to increase or I can decrease the voltage. Okay, hence we call it as a variable power supply. Fine. Okay, now let me come back. So here, as you see, either we can use 5 volt or 15 volt, or we can use between that. So here I am going to use 10 volt. Okay, because in the simulation also we have used 10 volt. So here also I am going to apply 10 volt. The next one, you can see from either pin number 8 or pin number 4, where both are shorted. Okay, from there we will connect the resistor. Okay, and another leg of the resistor will be connected to pin number 7. And from pin number 7, okay, so we will connect R2, and that will be connected with either 2 or 6, because 2 and 6 are shorted. And next one, from 6 we will connect the capacitor of 0.1 microfarad. Okay, for one of the leg to the pin number 6 or pin number 2, and another leg will be connected to ground. Okay, and next one is pin number 5. That is a bypass capacitor, that is a C2 of having 0.01 microfarad, that will be connected to pin number 5, another will be connected to the ground. And as you know, pin number 1 is also ground. Okay, so, and next one, and as I said that in the simulation also, in the simulation we can create multiple grounds, but in the hardware we have to maintain a single ground. Fine. And next one, pin number 3 will be used to read the output. Okay, will be taken to read the output, that is a square waveform, and to read the charging and discharging of the capacitor, either we can take it from the pin number 6 or pin number 2, because both are shorted. Okay, so let us start the building of the circuit, so that we can able to see that the output of this 555 A-stable multivibrator. Okay, so now let us start this 555 A-stable multivibrator connection. So as you see just now, I have mounted this 555 IC on this breadboard, and I hope you understood that the breadboard logic of this means the logic of this breadboard. Fine. So first you can see that pin number 8 and pin number 4 both are shorted, right? So for that, what I am going to do, I am going to use a piece of wire like this. Okay, and next I am going to connect this. As you can see, this is the pin number 4 and this is pin number 8. So here I will insert the wire to the pin number 4, and another will be connected to pin number 8. Fine. So you have to insert properly. Okay, sometimes because of the loose connection it may come out. Fine. The next one, you can see from pin number 8 to pin number 7 we are going to use R1. So in the case 1, here we are going to do the case 1, so that you can see the R1 value will be 6.8K. So hence we are going to use 6.8K based resistor. So here you can see that, because with the help of color code theory we can able to identify the value of this resistance. Okay, so it consists of a violet, then a kind of a brown, then we have a red, okay, then we have a gold. Okay, so it is nothing but it is a 680, okay, 680, okay, so that will be the 6800, so it will become 6.8K. Fine. So you can see that between from pin number 8 to pin number 7 means this is the pin number 8 to pin number 7. Okay, so from pin number 8, okay, pin number 7, it will be connected. Fine. Next one, from pin number 7 to either you can go for pin number 2 or pin number 6. Okay, and I found that pin number 7 and 6 both are nearby each other. Okay, so here R2 value is of 3.3K. Okay, 3.3K. You can see here it is having the color of orange and red, means 3 and red, that is nothing but again it is 100. Okay, so totally it will become 3.3K. So from pin number 7 to pin number 2, pin number 7 to pin number 2, it will be connected like this. Okay, you have to insert properly. Sometimes leg won't go inside the hole. Okay, because inside a kind of a claw will be there. Okay, so it won't allow to insert this. Okay, you have to force it. Next one, you can see either from pin number 2, okay, or pin number 6 you can connect the capacitor, but you can see that here pin number 2 and pin number 6 are shorted. So for that again I will use a piece of wire and I will short. Okay, so for that pin number 2, okay, so this is my pin number 2, that will be connected with pin number 6, pin number 6. Fine. So pin number 2 and pin number 6 both are shorted. Next one, either from pin number 2 or pin number 6 we will use the capacitor. Okay, capacitor of 0.1 microfarad. 0.1 microfarad. So this is our 0.1 microfarad. Okay, so I will use, here you should apply some logic. So I will use from pin number 2, okay, and anyhow the other terminal of the capacitor will be grounded, right? And it is, if you refer this 555 timer, you can see that pin number 1 is also grounded, right? So what I will do, I will take one of the leg of this capacitor to pin number 2 and another will be grounded, that is pin number 1. So here this is the pin number 2, okay, and another one will be pin number 1. So in this way I am going to keep this capacitor, right? So this is the pin number 2 and this is pin number 1. Fine. Next one, I am going to use one more capacitor that is connected from pin number 5 and that will be connected to ground. Okay, so again pin number 1 only. Okay, so here I am going to use the bypass capacitor of 0.01 microfarad. You can see that the size of this, the head of this capacitor is somewhat smaller as compared to this 0.1 microfarad. Okay, so what I will do, I will take a shortcut. Okay, from pin number 5 to pin number 1 I will connect in this way. Okay, so from pin number 5, okay, it will be connected to pin number 1. Fine. So you have to be careful that that a particular leg of the capacitor should not touch any of the pin of the 555 IC. Fine. Right. The next one. Do we have any other kind of connections? No. The next one is we have to apply the potential. Okay, and next we have to take the output from the pin number 3 and we have to see the capacitor charging and discharging from the either pin number 2 or pin number 6. Okay, so we will see that one. Now, before going to see the waveform of our designed circuit, it is better to understand the functionality or the working process of this CRO. Here we can see that we are using the 20 megahertz based dual trace oscilloscope, okay, in which you can able to see that here channel 1 and channel 2, okay, so that we can able to read either input or output, okay, or we can read input or output. Means when you are using this one as to read the input waveform, then it will become a output waveform, or vice versa. Fine. And on the top you can see the time base, so that you can able to see the time period. And you can use the variable by using this regulator, and if you want to waveform to the left side or right side, you can go for the level, okay, and if you want to maintain the level, then you can, means if the waveform is running, if you want to stop, then you can go for this level. We will see that how we can able to use. And next one for this voltage based channels, okay, you can see that V per division means it is voltage per divisions. Okay, so here we will use this regulator to move the waveform above and below. Okay, same for this one also. Now here you can see that the ground will be there. Okay, ground button, so that whenever we don't want to see any kind of waveform. Okay, then we can press this ground, so that nothing will be displayed. Means waveform will not be displayed. So this is the kind of a probe that we are going to use to read the waveforms. Now here you can see that this probe consists of two ends. One is of red, another one is of black color. Means this red is for the positive and black is for the negative. And now once I switch on this oscilloscope, it will take some time. Fine. Now you can see that there is a kind of two horizontal lines are there. Means this particular lines is for to read the waveform, right? That is a channel A, and this one is for channel B. Fine. So before doing any kind of operations, first we have to verify that whether our oscilloscope is fine or not. For that, what we have to do, you can see only for this channel the probe is being connected. Means I am watching only this channel A output. So hence I can either click on this channel 1, okay, so that I can only see the channel 1. Okay, otherwise if you want to see both, then you can release the buttons. Okay, if you want particular channel 2, press channel 2, then you can see only channel 2, right? So whenever you release, you can able to see both. But if I am interested only in the channel 1, press channel 1. Now next I will keep it like this. You can see there will be a kind of horizontal line, okay, and vertical line. Fine. So in this I am going to use to verify the oscilloscope. This red terminal, okay, will be connected to this pin point. Okay. So next I will decrease the values of this channel A, that is you can see volt per divisions. Then you can able to see that a kind of a square waves. Okay, now if you see this, now the continuous is running. To stop this one, we will use this level. Okay, slowly you have to identify in which level it will stop. Okay, see, now you can able to stop this waveform. Right, if you are getting a proper square waveform, which indicates that your oscilloscope is fine. Right. Okay, so next we will use this oscilloscope to read our output. So now we have seen the oscilloscope. Now we will see one more component that we are going to use in this experiment. That is nothing but our variable power supply. Okay, so in this variable power supply, just now only I have told you that in which you can able to change the voltage. Means the voltage is not constant. Okay, you can increase or decrease the voltage. So here minimum will be 0 voltage and maximum will be 30 voltage. Fine. So you can see that whenever you switch on this power supply, okay, with the help of this set volt course, you can increase by randomly. It is going to increase. Okay, means incrementing by either 2 or 3 like that. Okay, and if you want to increase slowly, means point by point base, if you want to increase like a 0.1, 0.2 like that, you can go for set volts fine. Okay, and you can see that it is not that much constant because it is consuming the AC signal, hence the volatility will be observed. Next, we will use the plus and minus. This plus we are going to apply to pin number 8 or pin number 4, okay, that we have just seen in the breadboard, and this negative that will be grounded. Fine. So I have just now set the voltage to the 10 volt. But whenever you are doing any kind of experiments, it is better to switch off the power supply. Okay. Later you can insert this terminals, okay, or these wires to this particular breadboard holes. Now this is a plus VCC. This is the plus VCC of 10 volt. So either I can give it to pin number 4 or pin number 8. Okay, you can see that pin number 8 will be inserted like this. Fine. Pin number 8. And the next one is minus. Minus is ground. Okay. So for that we will use pin number 1. As we know that pin number 1 is ground only. Fine. So once I am done with this one, I will keep it like this. Fine. So positive is given to either pin number 8, okay, or pin number 4. Okay, and now pin number 8 and pin number 4 both are shorted only. And next one, negative is given to the ground. Okay, negative one is given to the ground. Fine. Power supply, okay, and we have made the connection to our circuit. Now next one is we have to read the output. For this, as we have seen in our circuit, that is the pin number 3 is to read the output, right? So as just now I said that the positive, this red color is the positive. Anyhow, I can use this clipper to the circuit also, but because of this weightage, okay, the circuit may come up. Okay, the legs of that ICs may come up. Okay, so it is better that I have used the wires. Okay, you can see that one end of the wire is connected to the clipper and another will be kept like this. So here this positive will be connected to pin number 3. Okay, so it will be connected to pin number 3. And next one is negative, that is ground. That is connected to pin number 1. Okay, that is all about the channel 1. Means in the channel 1 I can able to see the square waveform. Okay, the output of the 555 timer. Now to check the charging and discharging of the capacitor, I will use another channel. Okay, for that I have connected one more. I have used one more probe. So here again the same thing, the positive, okay, and this is the negative. So here positive, okay. So here you can see that charging and discharging of the capacitor will be taken from either pin number 2 or pin number 6. So here I will use pin number 2. Okay, pin number 2. Pin number 2. And next one here, unfortunately I don't have any holes to connect this particular negative terminal. So as I have already used the probe, okay, that is connected for the negative. So here only I will adjust. So negative. Okay. So yes, this is all about the connections. Fine. So let me switch on. Everything is done. Okay, all the connection has been made. Now the thing here is, before applying the power supply, we will go to the oscilloscope, and in this, as we have just seen that the 2 channels will be there. Okay, so here I will use this intensity for the brightness and to get the thickness. Okay, thickness, not the thickness, the thinness of the this waveform, so that we can accurately able to read the output. You can see whenever I increase or decrease, the thickness is going to increase. Okay, so similarly for the intensity also. And later you have to keep both the channel, okay, on this reference line, that is the reference horizontal line. Once you kept like this, then you can apply the potential. Previously I have already set the potential of 10 volt. Now just apply the potential. Now you can able to see the square waveform, that is the output that you can able to see, and the charging and discharging of the capacitor. Fine. So this is all about the charging discharging of the capacitor and the square waveform generated by the 555 timer. Now next thing here is we have to read the output. So for reading the output, first of all, what we have to do? See here, you can see that this is the time base. Time base means here this vertical reference line, what you can able to see. Okay, so that is nothing but that is voltage. Okay, this is a voltage. Vertical line, vertical reference line indicates it is a voltage. It is a voltage. Okay, and next one, the vertical, that horizontal line, it indicates a time period. It indicates time period. Now, if you are using, okay, you can see that here this regulator pointing towards the 0.2, okay, 0.2 millisecond, okay, which indicates that you can see that is nothing but x-axis. Okay, so you can take it as a quadrant. This is first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, and fourth quadrant. So here between the first quadrant and the fourth quadrant, we always know that x is positive, right? So here you can see there is a small block will be there. Okay, small block, and again one more block, one more block, one more block will be there. Within each block we have a 5 sub blocks or 5 sub values. So here if it is a 5.2 millisecond means from this origin to this, okay, means to this towards the x-axis. Okay, this particular, it is having the division of 0.2 volt. Oh, sorry, 0.2 millisecond. 0.2 millisecond. Similarly, the next one again it will be 0.2 millisecond. So 0.2 plus 0.2 total 0.4 millisecond. Again 0.2. In this way we can able to increase. But if I keep it to the 0.5 in the regulator, then it is going to vary. Means previously it was 0.2, now it became 0.5 millisecond. Means 0.5 per division. 0.5 per divisions. Okay, that is what we are going to use. Fine. So whenever you want to calculate for the each and every subdivisions, what you have to do? You have to do, that is totally, now it is a 0.5 millisecond per divisions divided by 5 sub blocks. So you will get 0.1 millisecond for each and every subdivisions. Okay, so these are the basic things that we are going to use. Similarly, we will go for the y-axis also. Y-axis will be used for to read the voltage. You can see in the both the channels, okay, we have kept the value, okay, the regulator value, it is pointing towards the 5, means 5 volt per divisions for the both the channels. So here from this origin to this above, okay, so this much division is nothing but of 5 volt, okay, and 5 volt, again it will be 5 volt, 5 volt, 5 volt, like that it is going to increase. If I keep it for the small, okay, so it will become 2 volt, means 2 volt per divisions, 2 volt per divisions, and you can see that the waveform goes away from the oscilloscope because we are applying the 10 volt, okay, so we can't able to see on our CRO. Fine, so it is better that we should use the 5 volt. Fine. And you can see that for the time period also it is very congested, so it is better that we can go for the smaller values, that is 0.2 milliseconds, so that we can able to read. Fine. Now next one is as we have already seen in the previous simulation video, we have to calculate the time period. Okay, total time period. Total time period means T on plus T off. Okay, so here T on and T off, I will referring only the channel 1. Okay, so you can see that this is a T on, okay, this is T off. So what I have to do, I will use this pull and I will keep it like this. Okay, means for my reference it is going to start like this, positive cycle, okay, and the negative cycle like this. Fine. So with respect to 0.2 millisecond, okay, this is 0.2, okay, that is one division, again 0.2 means 0.4, and next one again 0.2 means 0.6, and remaining you can see that it is touching to the remaining 2 subdivisions, means that is if you divide 0.2 divided by 5, okay, 0.2 divided by 5, you will get 0.25. Okay, 0.25. Okay, so it will become 0.05. Okay, so 0.05 means here it will become 0.2, 0.4, 0.6 and 0.65. Okay, 0.65 millisecond. Okay, so we have taken the time period as 1 millisecond, but here in the practical we got 0.65 millisecond. Okay, so because of the some because of the component heat up and everything. Okay, so its frequency will vary. Okay, next one we have to convert that time period into frequency. We will get 1 by 0.65 into 10 to the power minus 3. Okay, so you can convert that one into frequency. The next one is pulse width. Pulse width is nothing but the complete on state. Complete on state. You can see that will be measured in terms of millisecond. Means 0.2, 0.2, and you can see that again some extra. Okay, 2 subdivisions will be included. So that will be 0.05. Okay, so it will become 0.45. Okay, 0.45 millisecond. Fine, that will be the width. That will be the width. The next one is to calculate the UTP and LTP values. I will use the channel 2 also. And here you can see that there is a charging 2/3 of VCC. That much it is going to charge, and later it is going to discharge up to 1/3 of the VCC. So I will use the pull and I will keep towards the reference, vertical reference line. Fine. And now you can see that 5 volt per divisions for both the channel, means one complete division will be of 5 volt. Right. So now I will calculate. So 5 volt is there, but additionally there is a one more voltage. Okay, one more that connection, that touching point. Okay, for this output and the input waveform. Okay, where you can see that it is in between the two subdivisions. That is nothing but if you convert that subdivisions, okay, in terms of their values, that is nothing but 5 volts divided by 5 subdivisions, means each subdivision will be having 1 volt, right? So 5, then 6 and 7, so it is between 6 and 7, so I will take it as a 6.5. Fine, so our UTP value is nothing but 6.5. Right, that is nothing but 2/3 of VCC. What is the VCC value here? Right, what is the VCC value? We have applied 10 volt. Right, so 2/3 of VCC into 10 means we will get 6.6 volt, and here we are getting 6.65 volt. Okay, almost near. Similarly, to calculate the LTP value, I will drag this waveform. Okay, so that I can able to read with respect to this vertical reference line, so that I can able to read this LTP value. Okay, lower trip point. Now again you can see that each subdivision, each division is of 5 volt, and subdivision will be 5 volt by 5, so it will become 1 volt per subdivision. So it will be, you can see that 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, between 3 and 4 it is there, and you can see that almost 3 it is present. Okay, so you can take either 3.5 or you can take 3 only. Fine. So as we know that 1/3 of VCC is nothing but 1/3 into 10. So that is nothing but we will get 3.33 volt. Right. So here we are getting either you can take 3.5 or 3 volt, which is very near. Fine. So this is how we can able to calculate the LTP and UTP values. The next one comes the duty cycle. In the duty cycle, we know that the pulse width, or you can say that T on divided by total time period. We have just seen that our T on is 0.45 millisecond. Okay, and the total time period will be 0.65 millisecond. Right. So once you do the calculation, that is 0.645 divided by 0.65. Okay, that will be your duty cycle. So that is nothing but 0.45 divided by 0.65. So here we will get a 69% of the duty cycle, okay, which is very near to the 70%, okay, of the duty cycle, right? That is nothing but our one of the case, right? That is the duty cycle greater than 50%. Okay, I hope you understood the concept, okay, and I hope you understood the logic of the breadboard, the logic of the oscilloscope, the usage of the power supply, okay, and how to make the connections. Thanks for the listening. Have a great day. Bye.